How are you guys doing? Today is Sunday, March 13th, 2022. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review yesterday's Elite matchups and performances from Saturday, March 12th. And of course, I'm going to preview everything that's going on today on Selection Sunday of 2022. And before I get into that, I'm going to take a quick step back and look at where we are, with today being the last day of the regular season for college basketball. After today, any team that loses will officially have their season ended, as the seeding will take place today for the men's and women's brackets. In the NBA, teams are in the final stretch with about a month or so left to determine their seeding, as only one team in the NBA has made the playoffs so far. Looking at what's going on in soccer, we are entering yet another weekend, as there is about 2 months, maybe less, of the soccer season internationally. Taking a look first at what's going on with college basketball, looking at yesterday's matchup, some of which saw teams get their tickets punched to the tournament. Starting with the second-ranked basketball team in the nation, the Arizona Wildcats would face off against the 13th-ranked UCLA Bruins in the final of the Pac-12 tournament. Arizona would end up hanging up another banner and punching a ticket to the tournament after they beat UCLA 84-76. They won this game by 8 after outscoring UCLA by 13 in the second half. On the losing end of this matchup, the 13th-ranked Bruins were led in scoring by their starting guard, Jules Bernard. He finished with 19 points. He shot 6 for 13 from the field and 5 for 6 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the second-ranked Wildcats were led in scoring by their starting guard, the Pac-12 Player of the Year for 21-22, Benedict Mathurin. He would finish with 27 points and 7 assists. He shot 6 for 14 from the field. He would go on to shoot 13 for 15 from the foul line on the day. With this win, the second-ranked Arizona Wildcats have won the 2021-22 Pac-12 tournament, and with this win, they have automatically booked a spot for them into the March Madness tournament, more than likely as a number 1 seed, after they finish with the best regular season record in the Pac-12 this year at 18-2. With this loss, the 13th-ranked UCLA Bruins will finish their 2021-22 season with a 25-7 record. This comes after they finished with a 15-5 record in the Pac-12, which was the second best record in the regular season. After finishing as a ranked team, it seems as though UCLA will be ranked today. Their next matchup will be in the March Madness tournament and in the coming days this week. So that's the Pac-12 tournament, the Pac-12 championship. Looking now at the 5th-ranked team in the nation, the Kentucky Wildcats would face off against the 9th-ranked Tennessee Volunteers in the semifinal round of the SEC tournament. 9th-ranked Tennessee would beat 5th-ranked Kentucky 69-62 to advance to the tournament final. They would win this game by 7 after outscoring Kentucky by 11 in the first half. On the losing end of this matchup, the 5th-ranked Wildcats were led in scoring by their starting forward, Keon Brooks Jr. He finished with 19 points and 5 rebounds. He shot 7 for 11 from the field and a perfect 4 for 4 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the 9th-ranked Volunteers were led in scoring by their starting guard, Kennedy Chandler. He finished with 19 points. He would go on to shoot 8 for 16 from the field and 2 for 3 from the foul line. With this win, the 9th-ranked Tennessee Volunteers will advance to the SEC Tournament Championship with a 25-7 record. This comes after they finished tied with Kentucky for the second-best record in the SEC at 14-4. With this loss, the 5th-ranked Kentucky Wildcats will end their 2021-22 regular season with a 26-7 record after they finished tied with Tennessee for the second-best regular season record in the SEC this year. With this loss, they will be seeded in the March Madness tournament today, as they will have to wait today to see exactly where they get seeded. Their next game will be in the March Madness tournament. Taking a look now at the 6th-ranked team in the nation, the Kansas Jayhawks would face off against the Texas Tech Red Raiders for the Big 12 championship. And in this matchup, the Jayhawks would end up beating the Red Raiders 74-65. They would win this game by 9 after outscoring Texas Tech by 8 in the second half. On the losing end of this matchup, the 14th-ranked Red Raiders were led in scoring by their starting forward, Bryson Williams. He finished with 17 points as he fouled out in 31 minutes. He shot 8 for 17 from the field. On the winning end of this matchup, the 6th-ranked Jayhawks were led in scoring by their starting forward David McCormick. He finished with 18 points and 11 rebounds. He shot 5 for 10 from the field and 8 for 9 from the foul line. With this win, the 6th-ranked Kansas Jayhawks will finish their 2021 season with a 28-6 record. They finished with a 14-4 record in the Big 12, which was tied with the defending national champs Baylor for the best regular season record in the conference. And now they get to hang up another banner in the Allen Fieldhouse as Kansas will advance to the tournament, having won the Big 12 championship, as they will wait to see if they are a 1 or a 2 seed today. With this loss, the 14th-ranked Texas Tech Red Raiders will finish their season with a 25-9 record. This comes after they finish with a 12-6 record, the third best record in the Big 12 in the regular season this year, with a finishing ranked as the 14th best team in the nation. They will go into today's selection special, looking to see where they get slotted in the March Madness tournament. That's where their next game will come, just like Kansas. Looking at the 7th-ranked team in the nation, the Duke Blue Devils, my alma mater, would face off against the unranked Virginia Tech Hokies in the ACC championship in what would be Coach K's last ACC championship game as the head coach of the Duke Blue Devils. Virginia Tech would end up beating Duke 82-67. They won this game by 15 after outscoring Duke by 12 in the second half. On the losing end of this matchup, the 7th-ranked Blue Devils were led in scoring by their starting forward Paolo Banchero. He finished with 20 points and 5 rebounds. He shot 8 for 11 from the field on the night. On the winning end of this matchup, the unranked Virginia Tech Hokies were led in scoring by their starting guard Hunter Couture. He would go on to finish with 31 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 steals. He shot 11 for 16 from the field, 7 for 9 from 3, and a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. With this win, the unranked Virginia Tech Hokies will finish their regular season with a 23-12 record. This comes after they finished with an 11-9 record in the ACC in the regular season. That was the 7th best record in the ACC. With this win, they have punched their ticket into the March Madness tournament. Although they finished with 12 losses total, we will wait to see exactly where they will come in. Coming into this game, it was unsure as to whether they would even be in the tournament, but now they have punched an automatic ticket into the tournament. With this loss, the 7th-ranked Duke Blue Devils will finish their 2021-22 season or at least the regular season, with a 28-6 record. This comes after they finished with an ACC best 16-4 record. Having lost as a top 10 team, they will go into the selection special looking for possibly a top 3 or a top 4 seed, as their next matchup will be in the tournament, just like Virginia Tech's. Taking a look now at what happened with the 8th-ranked team in the nation, the Villanova Wildcats would face off against the unranked Creighton Blue Jays in the Big East final in Madison Square Garden. In this matchup, 8th-ranked Villanova would beat Creighton 54-48 to add yet another banner to their stadium. They would win this matchup by 6 after outscoring Creighton by 5 in the second half. On the winning end of this matchup, the 8th-ranked Wildcats were led in scoring by their starting guard, the Big East Player of the Year for 2021-22, Colin Gillespie. He finished with 17 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals. He did all this in 36 minutes. He would shoot 5 for 14 from the field, 3 for 8 from 3, and he would make all 4 of his free throws. With this win, the 8th-ranked Villanova Wildcats are the 2021-22 Big East champions, and they have automatically punched a ticket for themselves into the tournament, and today they will wait to see where they get seeded. They finished their season with a 26-7 record, as they finished with a 16-4 Big East record. That was the second best record in the conference win percentage-wise. With this loss, the unranked Creighton Blue Jays will finish their season with a 22-11 record. This came after they finished with a 12-7 record in the Big East. That was the 4th best record in the conference. They will have to wait and see if they are a team that will be selected into the tournament this year. They may not know if that was their last game this season. But congratulations to Villanova for winning that title. Looking at the 9th-ranked team in the nation, the Purdue Boilermakers would face off against the unranked Michigan State Spartans in the semifinal round of the Big Ten tournament. Purdue would end up beating Michigan State 75-70 to advance to the final. They would win by 5 after outscoring Michigan State by 7 in the first half. On the winning end of this matchup, the 9th-ranked Boilermakers were led in scoring by their starting guard, Jaden Ivey. Ivey would finish with 22 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists. He would do all this while shooting 7 for 14 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, and he would shoot 6 for 8 from the foul line. With this win, the 9th-ranked Purdue Boilermakers will advance to the Big Ten championship with a 27-6 record. This comes after they finished with the 3rd-best record in the Big Ten this year at 14-6. With this loss, the unranked Michigan State Spartans will finish their season with a 22-12 record. This comes after they finished with an 11-9 record in the Big Ten, tied with Michigan for the 7th-best record in the conference. They will have to wait and see if their name gets called today. I'm not sure if they are going to, but they still are just going to have to wait and see, as this might have been their last game, as Purdue are still playing on. Taking a look now outside of the top 10, looking at the 15th-ranked team in the nation, the Arkansas Razorbacks would face off against the unranked Texas A&M Aggies in the semifinal round of the SEC tournament. Unranked Texas A&M would upset the 15th-ranked Razorbacks. They would win this matchup 82-64 to advance to the SEC final. They would win by 18 after outscoring Arkansas by 12 in the first half. On the losing end of this matchup, the 15th-ranked Arkansas Razorbacks were led in scoring by their starting guard, Stanley Umude. He would go on to finish with 20 points in 35 minutes. He shot 7 for 13 from the field. He would shoot 3 for 5 from 3 and a perfect 3 for 3 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the unranked Aggies were led in scoring by their starting guard, Quentin Jackson. He finished with 20 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, and 4 steals. He shot 7 for 16 from the field. And with this win, the unranked Texas A&M Aggies will advance to the SEC championship with a 23-11 record. This comes after they finished with a 9-9 record in the SEC. They were tied with LSU, Alabama, Florida, and South Carolina for the 5th best record. Holding a 23-11 record, I think they are still playing because they don't have an automatic bid into the next round. So, of course, they have to win. They more than likely have to win the SEC championship in order to make it into the March Madness bracket. With this loss, however, the 15th-ranked Arkansas Razorbacks will finish their regular season with a 25-8 record. They finished with a 13-5 record, which was the 4th best record in the SEC this year, and they will have their next game being played in the March Madness tournament, as they will have to wait and see where they get slotted today in the tournament. Now, taking a look at what happened with the 18th ranked team in the nation, the Houston Cougars would face off against the unranked Tulane Green Wave. And in this matchup, Houston would end up beating Tulane 86-66 to advance to the final. They would win by 20 after outscoring Tulane by 12 in the second half. On the winning end of this matchup, the 18th ranked Cougars were led in scoring by their starting guard, Kyler Edwards. He would go on to finish with 20 points, 7 rebounds, and 8 assists. He shot 6 for 13 from the field. All of his made attempts came from 3. He was 6 for 12 from 3, so he was 0 for 1 from within the arc. He shot a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. With this win, the 18th ranked Houston Cougars are now 28-5 as they advance to the American Conference Championship. This comes after they finished with a conference best 15-3 record during the regular season. With this loss, the unranked Tulane Green Wave will finish their 2021-22 season with a 14-15 record after they finished with a 10-8 record in the American Conference. That was the 5th best record in the conference. And with that said, Houston will be the team out of this matchup that will advance to the championship of this tournament. And then last but not least, looking at the 24th ranked team in the nation, the Iowa Hawkeyes would face off against the unranked Indiana Hoosiers in the semifinal round of the Big Ten tournament. The 24th ranked Hawkeyes would beat Indiana 80-77 thanks to an off the backboard buzzer beater. Iowa would win this game 80-77 after they outscored Indiana by 9 in the second half. On the winning end of this matchup, the 24th ranked Hawkeyes were led in scoring by their starting forward, Keegan Murray. He finished with 32 points, 9 rebounds, 2 steals, and 2 blocks, as well as 3 assists. He shot 11 for 17 from the field, 8 for 10 from 3, and 2 for 3 from the foul line, as he played 39 of the team's 40 minutes. With this win, the 24th ranked Iowa Hawkeyes will advance to the Big Ten Championship with a 25-9 record. This coming after they finished with a 12-8 record in the regular season in the Big Ten. They were tied with Ohio State and Rutgers for the 4th best record in the conference. With this loss, the unranked Indiana Hoosiers will end their 21-22 season with a 20-13 record. This comes after they finished with a 9-11 record in the conference. This would see them finish behind Michigan State and Michigan as the 9th ranked team in the Big Ten at the end of the year. So that is what college basketball is looking like, as out of this matchup, Iowa will be the team that advances to the Big Ten Championship. Because today is Selection Sunday, the games are going to take place right before then. There's going to be 3 championship games containing ranked teams. At 1 o'clock on ESPN in Amalie Arena in Tampa, Florida, the 9th-ranked Tennessee Volunteers are going to face off against the unranked Texas A&M Aggies. Tennessee enters this matchup after having finished with a 14-4 record in the SEC. And Tennessee enters this matchup after having beaten 5th-ranked Kentucky yesterday. And, of course, their opponent, Texas A&M, entering here after beating Arkansas by 18. Taking a look now at the second championship game that's going to be played today on ESPN at 3:15, the 18th ranked Houston Cougars are going to face off against the unranked Memphis Tigers in Dickies Arena in Fort Worth, Texas. Houston enters this matchup after having finished with a 15-3 record in the conference. They entered the final after having beaten Tulane. And then last but not least, starting 15 minutes after that on CBS in Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, the 9th-ranked Purdue Boilermakers are going to face off against the 24th-ranked Iowa Hawkeyes for the Big Ten Championship. Purdue enters this matchup after having finished with a 14-6 record in the Big Ten. They went on to beat Michigan State in the semifinal. Their opponents, the 24th ranked Iowa Hawkeyes, entered this matchup after having finished with a 12-8 record in the conference. They beat Indiana yesterday to make it here. Today is the final day of the college basketball regular season, as the tournament games will start on Tuesday. With that said, taking a look at what's going on at the professional level, starting off in Miami, the Miami Heat hosted the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Heat would end up falling short to the Timberwolves. The Wolves beat the Heat 113-104. They won this game by 9 after outscoring the Heat by 15 in the third quarter and then by 6 in the fourth to outscore the Heat by 21 in the second half. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Miami Heat were led in scoring by their guard off the bench, Tyler Hero. He finished with 30 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals in 37 minutes. He shot 8 for 19 from the field, 6 for 10 from 3, and a perfect 8 for 8 from the foul line. Their starting center, Bam Adebayo, would finish with 19 points, 12 rebounds, and 3 steals, all of this in 33 minutes. He shot 7 for 12 from the field. On the winning end of this matchup, the Minnesota Timberwolves were led in scoring by their starting shooting guard off the bench, Jalen Noel. He finished with 16 points in 22 minutes. He shot 6 for 13 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, and a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. Their elite starting center, Karl Anthony Towns, finished with 15 points, 10 rebounds in 25 minutes. He shot 4 for 9 from the field, 1 for 3 from 3, and 6 for 8 from the foul line. Their elite starting small forward, Anthony Edwards, the former number 1 overall pick, finished with 15 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 steals in 36 minutes. He shot 4 for 10 from the field, 3 for 8 from 3, and a perfect 4 for 4 from the foul line. Their their center off the bench, Naz Reid, would finish with 11 points and 10 rebounds alongside 3 steals and 2 blocks in 24 minutes. He shot 3 for 8 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3, and he made all 4 of his his free throws. With this win, the Minnesota Timberwolves are 39-30. That is the 7th best record in the Western Conference. They've now won 8 of their last 10 games. In the Western Conference playoff picture, they are sitting a game and a half behind the 6th place Denver Nuggets. They are sitting 4 games ahead of the 8th place Los Angeles Clippers. They are sitting 15 full games behind the NBA leading Phoenix Suns in the Western Conference. With this loss, the Miami Heat are now 45-24. That is still the best record in the East, as they've only lost 3 of their last 10 games. In the Eastern Conference playoff picture, they sit 2.5 games ahead of the 2nd place Milwaukee Bucks, and they are sitting 14.5 games ahead of the 11th place Washington Wizards, who are the first team on the outside of the picture looking in, as the Heat are sitting on 69 games. They currently have 13 more games left in their season. Now, taking a look at what happened in Chicago, the Bulls hosted the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Bulls would end up beating the Cavaliers 101-91. They would win this matchup by 10 after they outscored the Cavs by 9 in the second quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, the Cleveland Cavaliers were led in scoring by their all-star starting point guard Darius Garland. He finished with 25 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, and 6 turnovers in 42 minutes. He shot 9 for 24 from the field and 7 for 8 from the foul line. And on the winning end of this, going back to the Cavaliers and their starting lineup, their starting power forward, Kevin Love, finished with 10 points and 11 rebounds in 34 minutes. He shot 4 for 9 from the field and 2 for 5 from 3. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Chicago Bulls would be led in scoring by their all-star starting small forward out of USC, DeMar DeRozan. He finished with 25 points, 4 rebounds, and 6 assists in 40 minutes. He shot 9 for 26 from the field and a perfect 7 for 7 from the foul line. Their starting center and former all-star Nikola Vucevic finished with 20 points and 14 rebounds, as well as 2 steals in 34 minutes. He shot 9 for 19 from the field and 2 for 5 from 3. With this win, the Chicago Bulls are now 41-26. That is the 4th best record in the Eastern Conference, win percentage-wise. They've now won their last 2 games, and they've won 5 of their last 10. In the Eastern Conference playoff picture, they sit even with the Sixers, who have 1 less win and 1 less loss. The Bulls and the Sixers sit half a game behind the 2nd place defending champs Milwaukee Bucks, and they sit half a game ahead of the 5th place Boston Celtics, to give you a sense of how close it is between 2 and 5. The Bulls sit 3 games behind the Miami Heat, as they are one of 4 teams in the Eastern Conference so far that have clinched not having a losing record. They are the 4th team to do so after the Celtics had already done it. So that is where the Bulls are sitting right now. With this loss, the Cleveland Cavaliers are 38-29. That is the 6th best record in the East. They've lost their last 2 games. They've lost 7 of their last 10. In the Eastern Conference playoff picture, they sit 2.5 games behind the 5th place Boston Celtics, and they sit a game ahead of the 7th place Toronto Raptors for the time being. They are currently trailing the Miami Heat by 6 whole games in the conference. Now, looking to see what's going on in San Antonio, the Spurs hosted the Indiana Pacers. The Pacers would end up beating the Spurs 119-108. They would win this matchup by 11 after they would go on to outscore the Spurs by 8 in the first quarter and the third quarter of this matchup. On the losing end of this game, the San Antonio Spurs were led in scoring by their center off the bench, Jock Landale. He finished with 26 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 steals in 35 minutes. He shot 12 for 15 from the field, and he made 1 of his 2 free throws. Their shooting guard off the bench, Lonnie Walker IV, would finish with 20 points and 6 rebounds in 33 minutes. He would shoot 6 for 16 from the field, 4 for 9 from 3, and a perfect 4 for 4 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the Indiana Pacers were led in scoring by their starting point guard, Tyrese Halliburton, and their point guard off the bench, Dwayne Washington Jr. Halliburton finished with 19 points, 10 assists, and 3 steals in 37 minutes. He shot 8 for 17 from the field and 3 for 5 from 3. Dwayne Washington Jr. off the bench finished with 19 points in 21 37 minutes. He shot 7 for 9 from the field, 3 for 4 from 3, and a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. With this win, the Indiana Pacers are now 23-45. That is the third worst record in the Eastern Conference. They've won 4 of their last 10. They are sitting 10 games behind the 10th place Atlanta Hawks outside of the Eastern Conference play-in picture. And with this loss, the San Antonio Spurs are 26-42. That is the fourth worst record in the Western Conference. They've now lost 6 of their last 10 games. They now sit a game and a half behind the 10th place New Orleans Pelicans, just to get a sense of where they sit at the moment. Going up to San Francisco, the Golden State Warriors hosted the defending NBA champs, the Milwaukee Bucks. The Warriors would end up beating the Bucks 122-109. They won this game by 13 after they outscored the Bucks by 9 in the second quarter and then by 10 in the third, outscoring the Bucks by 19 in the middle 2 quarters. On the losing end of this matchup, the Milwaukee Bucks were led in scoring by their goated starting power forward, last year's NBA Finals MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo. He would finish with 31 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 assists in 34 minutes. He shot 9 for 17 from the field. He would shoot 1 for 4 from 3 and 12 for 18 from the foul line. Their all-star small forward, Chris Middleton, finished with 18 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, and 3 steals. He did all this in 35 minutes. He shot 6 for 19 from the field, 4 for 9 from 3, and a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Golden State Warriors were led in scoring by their elite starting shooting guard, Klay Thompson. He finished with 38 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists in 34 minutes. He shot 15 for 24 from the field and 8 for 14 from 3. Their starting shooting guard, Jordan Poole, finished with 30 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists in 35 minutes. He shot 9 for 16 from the field, 5 for 10 from 3, and a perfect 7 for 7 from the foul line. Their all-star starting small forward, Andrew Wiggins, finished with 21 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 blocks in 36 minutes. Wiggins shot 8 for 16 from the field, 3 for 8 from 3, and a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. Their power forward off the bench, their rookie Jonathan Kuminga, finished with 14 points and 11 rebounds in 28 minutes. He shot 6 for 16 from the field and a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. Their goated starting point guard, the NBA's all-time leader in three-pointers made, Stephen Curry, would finish with 8 points, 5 rebounds, and 8 assists in 33 minutes. He shot 3 for 7 from the field and 2 for 4 from 3. With this win, the Golden State Warriors are 46-22. They are now tied with the Memphis Grizzlies for the second best record in the Western Conference and the second best record in the NBA. The Warriors have won their last 3 games. They've won 4 of their last 10. In the Western Conference playoff picture, sitting alongside the Grizzlies, they are sitting 7.5 games behind the Western Conference leading Phoenix Suns, as they are also sitting 3.5 games ahead of the 4th place Utah Jazz. With this loss, the Milwaukee Bucks are 42-26. That is the second best record in the Eastern Conference. They've now lost 3 of their last 10 games. In the Eastern Conference playoff picture, they now sit 2.5 games behind the Eastern Conference leading Miami Heat. They are now sitting half a game ahead of the 3rd place Philadelphia 76ers, and they're also sitting half a game ahead of the 4th place Chicago Bulls at the moment. Taking a look at what's going on in Denver and Mile High City, the Nuggets would host the Toronto Raptors. The Raptors would beat the Nuggets 127-115. They would win this matchup by 12 after they outscored the Nuggets by 18 points in the 4th quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Denver Nuggets were led in scoring by last year's regular season MVP, Nikola Jokic. Jokic would finish with 26 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 blocks in 31 minutes. He shot 9 for 13 from the field and 8 for 9 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the Toronto Raptors were led in scoring by their starting power forward, Pascal Siakam. The former most improved player would finish with 33 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 steals in 36 minutes. He shot 12 for 22 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, and 7 for 8 from the foul line. Their starting small forward, their rookie out of Florida State, Scotty Barnes, would finish with 25 points, 8 rebounds, 10 assists, and 2 steals in 39 minutes. He shot 11 for 20 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, and he would shoot 1 for 3 from the foul line. Their power forward off the bench, Chris Boucher, would finish with 21 points, 13 rebounds, and 4 blocks in 30 minutes. He shot 8 for 15 from the field and 4 for 5 from the foul line. With this win, the Toronto Raptors are 37-30. That is the 7th best record in the Eastern Conference. They've now won their last 3 games. They've won 5 of their last 10. In the Eastern Conference playoff picture, they now sit a game behind the 6th place Cleveland Cavaliers. They are also sitting 3 games ahead of the 8th place Brooklyn Nets. They now trail the Eastern Conference leading Miami Heat by 7 whole games in the conference. With this loss, the Denver Nuggets are 40-28. That is the 6th best record in the West. They've now lost their last 2 games, and they've lost 3 of their last 10. In the Western Conference playoff picture, they sit a game and a half behind the 5th place Dallas Mavericks. They sit a game and a half ahead of the 7th place Minnesota Timberwolves, as they are sitting outside of the play-in picture. They are also sitting 13 and a half games behind the Western Conference leading Phoenix Suns. Jumping out to Salt Lake City, the Utah Jazz hosted the Sacramento Kings. The Jazz beat the Kings 134-125. They won this matchup by 9 after they would go on to outscore the Kings by 9 points in the second and by 8 in the third. They would outscore the Kings by 17 points in the middle 2 quarters. On the losing end of this matchup, the Sacramento Kings were led in scoring by their starting point guard De'Aaron Fox. He finished with 41 points, 3 rebounds, 11 assists, and 2 steals in 41 minutes. He shot 15 for 32 from the field, 5 for 11 from 3, and a perfect 6 for 6 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Utah Jazz were led in scoring by their point guard off the bench, the former NBA Sixth Man of the Year, Jordan Clarkson. He finished with 45 points and 2 assists in 35 minutes. He shot 15 for 21 from the field, 7 for 13 from 3, and he would shoot a perfect 8 for 8 from the foul line. In their starting lineup, their starting small forward, Bojan Bogdanovic, would finish with 26 points in 35 minutes. He shot 7 for 16 from the field, 4 for 8 from 3, and a perfect 8 for 8 from the foul line. Their elite starting shooting guard, Donovan Mitchell, would finish with 25 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals in 36 minutes. He shot 11 for 22 from the field, 1 for 6 from 3, and 2 for 5 from the foul line. Their starting center, Hassan Whiteside, finished with 12 points, 21 rebounds, and 3 blocks in 35 minutes. He shot 5 for 6 from the field. With this win, the Utah Jazz are now 42-25. That is the 4th best record in the Western Conference at the moment, as they are also holding on to the 5th best record in the NBA. They've now won 6 of their last 10 games. In the Western Conference playoff picture, they sit 3.5 games behind the 2nd place Grizzlies and the Grizzlies and the Warriors, who are tied for 2nd. The Jazz are also sitting a full game ahead of the 5th place Dallas Mavericks. They are trailing the Western Conference leading Phoenix Suns by 11 games at the moment. And with this loss, the Sacramento Kings are 24-45. That is the 3rd worst record in the Western Conference. They have now lost their last 4 games, and they've lost 8 of their last 10. They are currently sitting 4 games behind the 10th place New Orleans Pelicans outside of the Western Conference play-in picture. Last but not least, jumping up north to Portland, the Trailblazers hosted the Washington Wizards. Portland would end up beating the Wizards 127-118. They won this game by 9 after they outscored the Wizards by a combined 18 points in the first half. On the losing end of this matchup, the Wizards were led in scoring by their starting shooting guard out of Georgia, the former champ Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. He would finish with 26 points and 5 assists, as well as 5 fouls in 32 minutes. He shot 6 for 16 from the field, 5 for 10 from 3, and a perfect 9 for 9 from the foul line. Another former champ from the Lakers, their starting small forward Kyle Kuzma, finished with 22 points in 30 minutes. He shot 7 for 17 from the field, 4 for 8 from 3, and he would go on to make all 4 of his free throws. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Trailblazers were led in scoring by their starting shooting guard Josh Hart. He finished with 44 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, and 4 steals in 36 minutes. He shot 15 for 21 from the field, 6 for 9 from 3, and a perfect 8 for 8 from the foul line. Their starting power forward, Trendon Watford, finished with 27 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 steals in 38 minutes. He shot 11 for 16 from the field and a perfect 5 for 5 from the foul line. Their starting power forward, their other starting forward, Drew Eubanks, would finish with 20 points, 12 rebounds as well in 39 minutes. He would shoot 9 for 14 from the field and a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. With this win, the Portland Trailblazers are 26-40. That is the 5th worst record in the Western Conference. They've now won 4 of their last 10 games. They now sit half a game behind the 10th place New Orleans Pelicans outside of the Western Conference play-in picture. They are just outside. They could possibly see themselves jump the Pelicans with their next win. With this loss, the Washington Wizards are now 29-37. That is the 5th worst record in the Eastern Conference. They've now lost their last 3 games, and they've lost 7 of their last 10. They sit 3 games behind the 10th place Atlanta Hawks, as they sit 3 games outside of the playoff picture looking in. But that is where the Wizards are sitting. That is what the NBA is looking like following yesterday's matchups, as we are coming into today's Sunday matchups. Looking at what's going on today, the primetime matchups are going to be on ABC and ESPN. At 1 o'clock, the Brooklyn Nets are going to host the New York Knicks. They aren't really going to have to leave the city limits, and this is going to be in the Barclays Center, the home of where the ACC tournament was. The Nets enter this matchup holding a 34-33 record. That is the 8th best record in the East. They've won their last 2 games and 4 of their last 10. The Knicks enter this matchup having lost 7 of their last 10, as they sit 4.5 games outside of the play-in picture behind the 10th seed Atlanta Hawks. At 3:30 on ABC, the Boston Celtics and the Dallas Mavericks are going to face off in TD Garden. Both of these teams have 41 wins. The Celtics hold the 5th best record in the East, as they have won their last 5 games. Their 5-game winning streak is the longest active winning streak in the NBA. The Dallas Mavericks enter this matchup holding the 5th best record in the West, as the Mavericks have won 8 of their last 10. They are sitting a game behind the 4th place Utah Jazz, as they could possibly see themselves get home court advantage in the playoffs this year. And then the 3rd game, last but not least, on primetime, we'll see the NBA leading Phoenix Suns host the Los Angeles Lakers. As LeBron James has been on a tear, he is currently on a hunt for the NBA's scoring title. Entering this matchup, the Suns hold a 53-14 record. They are the only team in the NBA to have clinched a playoff spot, as they sit 7.5 games ahead of the 2nd place Grizzlies and Warriors. The Lakers enter this matchup holding the 9th best record in the West. They've only won 3 of their last 10. They sit 4.5 games behind their Crypto.com center roommates, the LA Clippers. Taking a look at the games that aren't on primetime, at 3 o'clock, the Detroit Pistons, who are holding the 2nd worst record in the East, are going to host the LA Clippers. At 6 o'clock, the Orlando Magic, who hold the worst record in the East, are going to host the Philadelphia 76ers. At 7 o'clock, the Atlanta Hawks, who hold the 10th best record in the East, are going to host the Indiana Pacers. At 7 o'clock, the New Orleans Pelicans, who hold the 10th best record in the West, are going to host the Houston Rockets, who hold the worst record in the West. And then at 7 o'clock, the OKC Thunder are going to host the Memphis Grizzlies, who are tied for the 2nd best record in the West and are looking to seal the 2nd best record in the West for themselves. That's what the NBA is looking like following yesterday's matchups. Taking a look at what soccer is looking like, coming off of an action-packed Saturday of soccer, jumping from country to country. Starting off in the Premier League, Liverpool was able to beat Brighton and Hove Albion 2-0. Their first goal will come from Luis Diaz, even though Luis Diaz would end up getting hurt, getting a little scraped up on the play. Their second goal will come off of a penalty from their elite Egyptian forward Mo Salah, so he could have his 4th 20-goal season in the Premier League. With this 2-goal win, Liverpool is now sitting with the 2nd best record in the Prem. They are sitting 3 points behind first place Man City, as they have 6 more games left in their schedule. In Manchester United hosted Tottenham Hotspur. They were able to pull off a 3-2 win thanks to a hat trick from their goated Portuguese forward, Cristiano Ronaldo. Tottenham Hotspur would see their first goal come from their elite striker Harry Kane off of a penalty kick. With this win, Manchester United is sitting fourth in the Premier League. They are currently sitting 6 points behind third place Chelsea, even though they've played 4 more games than Chelsea. They were able to temporarily jump ahead of fifth place Arsenal. They have 2 more points than Arsenal, even though they've played 4 more games than Arsenal. But for right now, Man City sitting fourth. Tottenham is now sitting 7th in the Prem as they're sitting even with West Ham. They both sit 3 points behind 5th place Arsenal at the moment. Moving up the European continent, jumping to Italy. First, AC Milan was able to host and beat Empoli 1-0. They were able to score their only goal in the 19th minute thanks to Pierre Kalulu. With this win, AC Milan is sitting on top of the Serie A. They sit 5 points ahead of second place Inter, even though they played 2 more games than Inter. This puts the pressure on Inter to win their next 2 games if Inter wants to continue controlling the Serie A barely. And then in Sampdoria, Sampdoria would host Juventus. Juventus would end up beating Sampdoria 3-1. First goal would be a Sampdoria own goal to put Juve up, and then they would see a penalty kick from Alvaro Morata, their Spanish striker, put them up 2-0. After Sampdoria's only goal, Alvaro Morata would score in the 88th minute to give himself a brace. With this win, Juventus is now sitting 4th in Italy as they are sitting 1 point behind third place Napoli with 1 more game played than Napoli. But Juventus is trying to do their best to hold on to that Champions League spot. And of course, with this loss, Sampdoria is now sitting 16th in Italy. And then looking last but not least at what's going on in Germany, the reigning Bundesliga champs, Bayern Munich, would end up drawing with Hoffenheim. Baumgartner would score the first goal of the game for Hoffenheim, and then Bayern Munich would see its lone goal scored at the end of the first half from their goated Polish striker Robert Lewandowski. With this win, the Bayern Munich Football Club is sitting on top of the Bundesliga. They sit 10 points ahead of second place Borussia Dortmund, even though they've played 2 more games than Dortmund. This puts the pressure on Dortmund to see if they can bring themselves to within 4 with Bayern. But that is everything that happened yesterday. Taking a look at how these games and how the tables are going to be shaping today's matchups. Starting off in England at 10 o'clock, Chelsea is going to be hosting Newcastle United. Chelsea enters this matchup holding the third best record in the Premier League. They sit 10 points behind second place Liverpool. A win here could see them move to within 7 points, but they're a little far behind. And Arsenal are going to host Leicester City at 12:30. Arsenal holds the 5th best record in the Prem. They are sitting 2 points behind 4th place Manchester United with 4 less games played. A win here against Leicester City, who is the 12th best team in England, could see Arsenal move into Champions League position with 3 less games played, with 3 games in hand. Taking a look at what's going on in Spain now in La Liga, the second best team in Spain, Sevilla, is going to face off against Rayo Vallecano at 9 a.m. Sevilla enters this matchup sitting 8 points behind second place Real Madrid. They're going to face off against the 14th best team in Spain. And then, of course, moving on, the 4th best team in Spain, Barcelona, are going to host Osasuna at 4 o'clock. Barcelona enters this matchup with the 4th best record in Spain. They sit 3 points behind third place Atletico Madrid with 2 less games played. A win here would see them temporarily jump Atletico Madrid on goal differentials. So, of course, a win could see them do a lot today. Continuing to move up the subcontinent. Paris Saint-Germain will host Bordeaux at 8 a.m. PSG enters this matchup sitting with the best record in Ligue 1, sitting 12 points ahead of second place Nice with 1 less game played than Nice, as they're really kind of dominating this league from the very, very top. Moving on to see what's going on in Italy. It looks as though Napoli is going to face off against Hellas Verona at 10 o'clock. Napoli enters this matchup holding the third best record in Italy. They sit 1 point behind second place Inter. A win today could see them jump into second place in Italy, as their opponent Hellas Verona enter this matchup with the ninth best record in Italy. And then moving on down, Inter Milan are going to face off against Torino. Inter Milan enters this matchup with the second best record in Italy. They're right now, that matchup's going to be at 345. Their matchup, Torino, enters this matchup holding the 11th best record in Italy. So, of course, Inter's going to have to hold on tight for this one. Taking a look at what's going on in the German Bundesliga, Borussia Dortmund, Germany's second best team, is going to host Arminia Bielefeld at 12:30, as that's going to be a pretty big matchup. Dortmund is at the moment sitting 10 points below Bayern, and their opponents, Bielefeld, are currently sitting with the 15th best record in Germany. Dortmund needs to win this game if they want a chance to win the Bundesliga. And then looking at the third best team in Germany, Bayer Leverkusen is going to host FC Cologne at 10:30. Leverkusen is sitting 5 points below second place Dortmund at the moment. And then their matchup, FC Cologne is sitting with the 8th best record in Germany. But that's everything that I have for you as we enter today's matchups, as we navigate the world of sports one day at a time. Today was going to be awesome, especially with the selection, special. I want to thank the ESPN, the NCAA, the NBA, and FIFA websites for giving me all the facts and figures that I needed for this episode. And with that said, once all of today's exhibitions and matchups are done, I want to come back tomorrow on Monday, March 14th for another episode of The Elite. Once we get there, I want to thank everyone for listening and staying with me along the way. I know it's been kind of a tough journey, kind of venturing on my way back, but I am getting back. It's been tough to really kind of do this over a year, but I want to thank everyone for kind of sticking with me through this. It's been really tough, and thanks for listening. I do hope all is well, and I will catch you with another episode tomorrow. Thanks for listening to my piece. I'm James Sims. This is The Elite, and I also want to apologize if I butchered any names. I do eventually plan on getting them right. Thanks for listening. I'll catch you with another piece tomorrow, and peace out. I'll catch you tomorrow.